With the confirmation of Rarity 5 and Rarity 6 armors getting Transcendence in Title Update 4, we are finally seeing Capcom address one of the biggest gaps between mid-tier gear and endgame gear. These older sets will now receive additional or higher level decoration slots, giving them a level of flexibility they never had before. In this video, we're going to take a look at some of these older sets and explore how this update might open up new build paths for a lot of hunters. Let's jump into it. Now, I won't really be looking at Rarity 5 armor since almost all of them, if not every single one, doesn't come with any set armor bonus, which is a shame. There are a few Rarity 5 pieces with strong individual skills, and with the enhanced decoration slots coming in TU4, those might make up for the lack of set bonuses, so they're not completely out of the picture, they just won't be the main focus here. As for the Rarity 6 armors, I found a total of 10 sets that could receive the biggest glow up, especially since they actually do come with set armor bonuses. Out of those 10, 4 are already being used in late game builds and will naturally get even stronger with more slot flexibility. 3 of them are decent, playable, workable, but nothing too impressive, and the last 3, well, those ones really need some help. Without some kind of additional buff or change, they are going to struggle to stay relevant even with the Transcendence upgrades. I'm pretty sure Burst Boost is no stranger to most of you out there, especially if you're maining Gunlance. Burst Boost is basically free damage as long as Burst is active, meaning as long as you keep attacking the monster. And with Burst Boost also extending the burst timer, the uptime on this skill is incredibly strong. Because of that, the Ebony Odogaron armor is going to be the biggest glow up and easily the most popular set out of all the Rarity 6 armors. The pieces to really keep an eye on are the head, chest, and waist. The chest is a bit situational depending on the weapon you're running with burst boost, but the head and waist are universally strong. And really, if even one of those Odogaron pieces, the head or the waist, get enhanced decoration slots, it's going to completely solidify Odogaron as one of the top meta armor choices going into Title Update 4. Second Wind from Fulgur Anjanath set is also quite popular, mainly because it gives you an extra stamina segment. That extra bar makes it much easier to maintain maximum might uptime, which in turn keeps that 30% affinity bonus active for much longer throughout the hunt. The pieces you want to keep an eye on here are the head, chest, and arms. These comes with key offensive skills like Agitator and Maximum Might, making them strong options for any weapon that relies heavily on affinity to deal damage. Now, the important thing to understand is that Second Wind is basically competing head-to-head with Leviathan's Fury, the Lagiacrus armor bonus, because both sets revolve around Maximum Might. Lagi tends to offer slightly higher affinity and better offensive stats overall, while Fulgur Anjanath wins in comfort thanks to that stamina extension and the easier maximum might uptime. And honestly, Lagi's offensive stat bonus is just too good for most hunter to pass up. But if the Fulgur Anjanath pieces do receive enhanced decoration slots in Title Update 4, that extra flexibility might push its competitiveness high enough for this set to actually go toe-to-toe with Lagiacrus armor in overall performance. Powerhouse is a really underrated set bonus from Doshaguma. You gain an attack boost whenever you successfully perform a power clash or an offset. In practice, offset is going to give you far more uptime than power clash simply because it's something you can trigger constantly during normal play. That means Powerhouse actually has a lot of potential if you're skilled enough to maintain those offsets. The biggest thing holding this set bonus back is the armor itself and the high skill ceiling of constantly offsetting to maintain that buff. The notable pieces here are the Doshaguma from the event quest as well as the Doshaguma chest and waist. The only uncertainty is whether the event quest pieces like the Doshaguma will also receive enhanced decoration slots in Title Update 4. Capcom hasn't confirmed if event quests will get the same treatment despite being Rarity 6. That said, this armor fits extremely well with the offset playstyle, especially with all the latent power built in for extra raw damage and affinity. The Guardian Doshaguma variant revolves more around heroics, which can be built around, but it's not something I generally recommend. If the decoration slots on these pieces do get enhanced in Title Update 4, this set will absolutely live up to its name and become a true powerhouse once again. Scorcher is unfortunately a very niche set bonus. It's primarily used alongside Zoshia weapons to boost the tick damage from White Flame Torrent, and even then it's usually only worth running if you commit to 4 armor pieces. Scorcher essentially gives you a chance to apply a fire tick whenever you attack, and that tick is affected by fire attacks, so you can scale it a bit, just not by much. The notable armor pieces here are the chest and arms from Rathalos, as well as the head and arms from Guardian Rathalos. The armors themselves aren't terrible, they have something for pretty much every weapon. It's just that the individual skills on them aren't particularly impressive. With the improved decoration slots coming in Title Update 4 though, there's a chance this set becomes more flexible in late game builds. Maybe something like a Leviathan's Fury, Scorcher, White Flame Torrent, Bad Blood hybrid setup might start to make sense. It's still too early to say for sure, but Title Update 4 might finally give this set the room it needs to shine. Bubbly Dance is in a really weird spot because you basically need the 4-piece set bonus to get anything meaningful out of it. You can technically run a 2-piece setup just to get minor Bubble Blight for comboing with Mizusune's weapons, but let's be honest, Mizu's weapon aren't looking too great heading into Title Update 4, especially since most players are going to be shifting towards Artian. Right now, Bubbly Dance feels borderline unusable unless it gets some kind of tweak or buff. The notable pieces here are the arms and the legs, both of which are actually good on their own, but the set bonus holding everything back makes the whole armor line feel subpar. Maybe the enhanced decoration slots in Title Update 4 will give the legs enough flexibility to help with min-maxing certain mix sets down the line, but as it stands, Bubbly Dance really need a bit more love to stay relevant. For the remaining 3 armor sets, some form of buff or tweak really needs to happen before hunters will even consider using them in their builds. While each of them does provide certain benefits, those bonuses just aren't strong enough or convenient enough to justify slotting them into late game setups in their current state. Even with Title Update 4 enhanced decoration slots, these sets are still going to need a bit of extra help to stay relevant. Except for Blagunga, actually. Blagunga's set armor bonus is Warcry, which gives an attack boost to you and your teammates. And it's actually not that bad at all if you are running a support build. You can literally just spam a single emote and everyone around you will get a 1-minute attack boost. For example, one of my fellow content creators, Ariel, used the 2 victory emote, and every time he does it, I immediately get the attack bonus. That's actually pretty solid value for basically 0 effort. Blagunga also has a few surprisingly good armor pieces, which will be getting enhanced decoration slots by the way, and they're especially useful for support setups or for hunters who like stacking Agitator. So while it's not meta defining, it's definitely more usable than Jiwu or Gravios, and it could see more play once those upgraded decoration slots arrives in Title Update 4. That's basically all the notable Rarity 6 armors that actually have a chance of seeing play again once the Title Update 4 enhancements roll in. Now let's move on and talk about group skills, because Title Update 4 is bringing some really interesting changes thanks to the Artian upgrade, and this is where set builders are going to have an absolute field day. Now, we tend to overlook group skill most of the time simply because Lord Soul is just that good. It's so strong and so universally useful that most hunters don't even bother looking at the others. But with Artian getting its own group skill on the weapon, Title Update 4 is going to open up the door for something we couldn't really do before, running 2 group skills in a single build. That's a pretty big shift. The problem is, when you look at the current group skill in Monster Hunter Wilds, none of them are particularly impressive when it comes to fighting monsters. Lord Soul is basically the only one that's genuinely strong, which is why almost everyone defaults to it. However, there are a few group skills that could be useful in niche situations, but not to the point where I go out of my way to build around them. First up is perhaps the most valuable group skill we have right now, Lord's Favor. This group skill gives you and your squad an attack boost for 20 seconds whenever you apply a buff. This includes things like non-self-effect Hunting Horn songs, Dust of Life, Demon Powder, Armor Powder, basically any party-wide buffs. And here's the good part, every time someone applies one of those buffs, the timer on Lord's Favor resets. That means a Hunting Horn player can technically keep Lord's Favor active for almost the entire hunt, as long as they keep rotating songs or using consumable buff that affects everyone. Right now, the only way to get Lord's Favor is through the alpha sets of the APAC monsters, which isn't that great in my opinion. The skills are mostly mid, the slots aren't ideal, and it's not something you normally want to build around. But with the Artian now providing a group skill on the weapon, things change. If Artian counts as one piece towards a group skill, then you'll only need 2 additional alpha pieces to activate Lord's Favor, which suddenly makes it a lot more viable for Hunting Horn players or any other builds. Of course, this is still speculation. We don't know yet whether the Artian group skill will count as one armor piece or if it gives the equivalent of having all 3 pieces automatically. But for now, we're assuming the more conservative version that Artian counts as one. And considering how easy it is to trigger Lord's Favor, I do think the potential for this to become the next best group skill after Lord's Soul is very high, especially in group hunts. Next up is Lord's Fury, which comes from the beta set of the Apex monster. This group skills increases your attack whenever you're afflicted by a status ailment. But the moment that ailment goes away, the attack bonus disappears as well, which means the uptime is pretty low and not very reliable. And just to be clear, while being afflicted by Frenzy does activate Lord's Fury, the moment you cure the Frenzy, Lord's Fury immediately stops working. So unless you're intentionally staying frenzied, which isn't exactly ideal, the uptime still isn't great. Because of that, this group skill ended up being pretty underwhelming, especially considering it's tied to the beta version of the Apex armor. It could have been something cool, but as it stands, it's just not great. A shame, really. Fortifying Pelt is a group skill I'm sure a lot of you are already familiar with. It increases your attack and defense after you faint in a quest, and it can be stacked up to 2 times. The problem is, it only activates when you card, so right away that makes it a pretty weak option. If you are looking for extra damage and survivability, you might as well just run Lord Souls instead. You get a ton of power and a built-in get out of jail free card without needing to card. Fortifying Pelt is only worth using if you are not confident going into a hunt and expect to card at least once. Otherwise, it's just not something you intentionally use in a build. Guardian's Pulse and Guardian's Protection are group skills that really only work in one specific situation, when you are hunting in ruins of Viveria. That's because only Guardian monsters can produce work crystals, and Guardian monsters themselves only appear in that region. Guardian's Protection even specify that it only activates in the ruins of Viveria. So they're not bad group skills, they just have extremely niche use cases. Outside of ruins of Viveria hunts, they're essentially dead skills, unfortunately. And that's about covers all the Rarity 6 armors and group skill that might see some new life in Title Update 4. It's going to be really interesting to see how these Transcendence upgrades shake up the build crafting scene, especially once we get our hands on the full patch notes and the exact decoration slot values. A huge shout out and special thanks to Ariel for helping me test some of these skills out while putting this video together. I really appreciate you. And of course, another big thank you to my channel members for supporting the channel. Your support genuinely means a lot to me, and I'll always cherish the love and generosity you've shown. As always, let me know in the comments what armor sets or group skills you are excited to play around with in Title Update 4, and whether you think any of these mid-tier pieces might sneak their way back into the meta. Thanks for watching, hunters. Courage and honor.